Hey guys, we're back. I'm Martin Gaston, and we're going to be looking at some Rome 2. I'm with Al Bickham from Creative Assembly.
Hi there.
You've come all the way from England.
That's right, yes.
Yeah.
I've come all the way from England, yeah.
How are you finding the show?
Fantastic, amazing, huge, as it always is, yeah. But weirdly, where we're demoing over in the South Hall, we're in a curiously quiet spot, so it's like an oasis of calm, apart from the thundering of hooves with Total War, of course.
And of course, one of the main themes about E3 this year has been the next-gen consoles, but this is a PC game, and there's still a lot of love for the PC on the show floor, right?
Yeah, enormous amount of love for the PC. I mean, there's some great strategy games coming up at the moment. You know, I think the PC's absolutely thriving at the moment. It's in a really great place.
Right, and you've brought 10 minutes of new footage.
That's right, yes.
Of the game. I guess, let's just get stuck in when we can. All right, here it is.
Right, yeah. So this is the new campaign map for Rome 2. It's colossal. It's the most ambitious, richly detailed campaign map we've ever made in a Total War game. It's about 4 times the size, as you can see here, about 4 times the size of the campaign map in Shogun 2.
Look, it
stretches all the way from Spain to Afghanistan. It's colossal.
What kind of a PC is this running on? Let's just get that straight out of the way.
So this is around a Core i7, about 8 gig of RAM, and a sort of upper mid-range graphics card at the moment. So it's not an absolute top-end system.
Right. It's better than my computer. How's it going to look on my computer?
What's your computer like?
i5.
Oh, it's probably going to look great. One of our aims is to keep the minimum spec for Shogun 2 around the same. Sorry, the minimum spec for Rome 2 around the same as it was for Shogun 2. So we're working on a suite of low-end assets to make sure that people with low-end systems can play and enjoy the game at a reasonable frame rate. So,
all right. So we're looking at the overview.
Yeah,
we're going to get to see some diplomacy coming out.
Sorry?
We're going to see some diplomacy, or?
So yeah, we haven't got any diplomacy in this demo here, but what we're seeing here is some of the features of the campaign map. We've got the great wonders of the ancient world here, for example, so the pyramids and the lighthouse of Alexandria, so, you know, Stonehenge, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, they all give you buffs if you capture those provinces. But now this is really interesting. This shows the evolution of the campaign map through the kind of player agency, so as you decide to upgrade your city, you can expand it like this in order to build new buildings, and that city will expand further and larger. The buildings will rise up, and you'll see some of the buildings you've built reflected in the city. And you can see sort of shanty towns and urban sprawl beginning to appear around the city. You know, as you play, the map really starts to evolve.
And how much of the game's going to be taking place from this view?
It depends really upon how many battles you choose to fight, because of course you can auto-resolve battles in cases where it's clear you're going to just win the battle. You could auto-resolve, but you know, we've got some of the most tremendous scale battles you've ever seen, so it's probably a 60-40 split if you're a regular battle player. So, and we'll see some battle in a second. We'll see the Battle of the Nile, which is one of our new historical battles.
Right, and one of the things I think people have always had a bit of a hard time with is the just the AI has maybe not been as intelligent or as wily as I would have liked in a Total War game. Are we going to be seeing a smarter computer opponent?
Well, what you're going to see is you're going to see some great AI on the campaign map and some great AI on the battle map. So on the campaign side, one thing that has often happened in previous Total War games, an AI you may have felt like you've been stabbed in the back, or you may feel like, you know, the AI's declared war on you for no reason, and you can't really see a reason for that, and you think it's acting randomly. What we're doing now in diplomacy is we've got a new panel called the Relations panel, and it lists your actions by which that AI is judging you. So, you know, if you've committed war, if you've declared war on one of its friends, then it won't like that. It'll count as a negative modifier towards you. And if you march into its territory under arms, for example, it won't like that. And so you can literally see, you can make a value judgment on how diplomacy is going to go and why that AI is making the decisions that it's making. So we're giving a lot broader window into the AI's decision making. So that should be a real help to players, I think.
What you're saying is the AI is still going to come and attack you, but you're just going to know the reason why this time.
Exactly. Now, of course, we've got different AI personalities. Some factions will be more more diplomacy-led. Some factions will be more cautious. Some will be more aggressive or expansionist. So you've still got that to deal with as well.
Right, so we've gone into another scene now. We're actually in some battle.
So this is the Battle of the Nile. It's one of the historical battles in the game. And this is the armies of Ptolemy XIII being attacked by Caesar and his ally Mithridates of Pergamon. It's one of the battles that happened in 47 BC. So now the reason this battle is so spectacular is because it's got such a vast range of exotic units in it, and it's a combined battle as well. So we've got one of these combined battles where land and naval units can fight in the same theatre of war at the same time. So you can use your ships to disembark troops on the land to support the troops, or shell them with ballistas and things like that.
Now, I saw some war elephants a minute ago. We're going to get to see some more war elephants.
We will see some war elephants.
Yeah. I want to see some war elephants.
Yeah, 10 tons of muscle and tusk trampling your enemies to jam. They're a really fun unit to use. But of course, there's a danger side as well. So our war elephants have a kind of internal rage meter that builds up over time. So if you've got guys throwing javelins at them, covering them with arrows and spears, they get a bit angry and they can run amok, at which point you lose control of them. And then, hey, if you've got loads of your guys standing around, they stop distinguishing between friend and foe. So, you've got to be careful with elephants.
Al, are we going to see some crazy war elephants today?
We'll see some crazy war elephants today. But the bit I really want to point out is the chariots and the impact that they have, because all the units in our battle demo in our battles now have a mass rating. So you'll see on a simple level what that means is if you've got a light unit, just guy in a loincloth with a spear, and a heavily armoured Roman infantryman smash. If they smash into lightly armoured units, they'll kind of compress them and drive through them. So when you see something like a war chariot, which has great weight, bearing down on a unit, it will really burst through. So we'll see that in a second. Now this is interesting. This is the Egyptian flagship of the Egyptian fleet, and what we're doing is ramming is a big naval tactic of the era. So we've got lots of ships that have ramming capability, and what the ship's going to do now is going to ram into one of the Roman ships, and if we're lucky, we'll see one of the critical destruction animations. Right, there we go. The ship is damaged slightly already, so you've got this great sense of weight and impact and destruction going on.
That looks like it was quite a costly.
Very much so.
I mean, these ships cost a lot of money to build, right?
Oh yeah. So the bigger the ship, you're going to have an economy that supports, and you'll have to, through buildings and research, be able to, access that. So it's kind of a late game unit, that one.
Right. So if I have to buy that ship, I'm going to feel it when it gets destroyed.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's going on right now? We've got some infantry battles?
Yeah, so what we've got, this is that was the Roman infantry coming up the hill. This is the chariots that I mentioned here. Now what we're about to see is this is the unit camera. It's a new feature in Rome 2. We can lock the camera to the unit and see the close-up actions of the old battle. So there you go, you've got guys flying everywhere. That's scythe chariots in action. And these are battlefield deployables, which you can set up if you're in a defensive position. You can set these up before the battle. So what you've seen is a load of guys lighting burning weighted bales of hay, which are rolling down the hill and disrupting enemy units and damaging them as they go. So
now I know if you've been following this game, you've been showing off was it Siege of Carthage?
That's right, that was the first thing we showed. Yeah, was the Siege of Carthage.
That was a big city. There was a lot of sort of insidey battles. This is a sort of big open plain.
That's right, yeah.
How does this make the fighting different?
Well, for a start, it's based on a hill, so you've got your standard. As you'd think in the real world, it's hard to attack a hill. So the enemy the side that's attacking uphill is always at a slight disadvantage. It's going to cost them more energy to get up the hill. They're going to move slower. It's going to be harder for them. So, as a hill battle.
Here come the elephants.
And here come the elephants trampling through the Roman troops there. So the reason we're throwing everything at the Romans there is because they're standing on a capture point. We have capture points in battles now. So as long as a unit is stood on that capture point, you can see the flag there. It's cut. The Egyptian flag has come down, and the Roman flag is threatening to come up. So
that looks a bit video gamey in a series that's about history.
Yeah, well, we still want to. At the end of the day, it is a game. It is a piece of entertainment, and while we still aim for great historical authenticity, we still want to make it a great game to play. And we've got a lot of really interesting new features that really support the idea that we want people to be enormously entertained by this.
Now, do you not think this does look a little bit daunting to people who've never played the series before?
Yeah, I can see how you'd think that. The beauty of Rome 2 is that when you first start playing the game, you play the prologue, which is right at the start, pre the full campaign. You can play the prologue, which is a kind of 3-chapter, narrative-driven introduction to Total War. So it introduces the very basic features. simply from how to control units on the battlefield and how to recruit and build units in towns, how to expand your cities, and it's really enormously entertaining because there's you play as this sort of fictional historical character that we've designed, and his story which leads up to the campaign game. So it's a really easy in for new players.
All right. So I mean, when's the game out?
So September the 3rd, we're out.
And do you not think that's a little bit too close to some of the next-gen excitement we're feeling right now?
I don't think so. I think we can come out fighting, I think.
And I didn't see the elephants. I wanted to see some crazy elephants. Where were they, man?
Yeah, they were tucked around the back, actually, so we didn't see them. So they were running amok, trampling my own troops to death. So
you did promise, though. Well, that's all I'm going to say.
Did. We saw some. We saw them smashing into the Romans, but come September the 3rd, you can launch all the elephants you wish at the enemy.
All right, and what about the multiplayer? Like, I know we didn't have a chance to see it today. There's obviously going to be multiplayer.
Yeah.
What are some of the changes you're going to make? Is there going to be a beta?
So at the moment, with multiplayer we've got the standard kind of multiplayer modes. We've got the kind of head-to-head up to 4 players modes. We've got a couple of new, quite exciting features we're working on, but we're proofing them out at the moment. So we might have to save that till another day.
Fair enough. Well, that's Rome 2. Thanks for coming in now. We're going to cut to some Battlefield 4 now, and then we'll be back with some Elder Scrolls Online on Gamespot.